Well, welcome to day 9 of our ongoing Mitigating the Pandemic retreat. Each one of us that is sequestered at home doing our small little part to help the planet through this and to stay out of the way of the people who are out there really taking care of all of the people who are suffering the most and sick and dealing with the scourge of this pandemic, this virus. And at the same time, the motivation to bring us all together in this way, day by day by day. And just to let you know, the team has decided we will just keep going through the end of April at least. So every weekday at this same time and same station, we will be continuing to be together for anybody who cares to tune in. So many other uh, places and Dharma teachers are also doing remarkable things everywhere. And as I've said a number of times, Spaceship Earth needs all hands on deck at this moment. And the more wisdom and compassion we can embody and mobilize collectively and individually, the better. So as you tune in today, coming to establish yourself in a posture, whatever it is that embodies wakefulness and dignity, whatever time of day or night it might be. And I'm seeing a number of people on my screen whose names I recognize and whose faces I recognize, and whether I can't acknowledge you all, but I know you're here and I feel it and I love it. And so dropping in, stopping and dropping right into this moment. Alone and together. And letting your attention come to a light on the breath sensations in the body and a sense of the body as a whole sitting here breathing. And simply sustaining this, attending moment by moment by moment as we sit here. Feeling in some sense the original motivation to have us click on and tune in to join in this remarkable global community of intentionality, wakefulness, liberation, compassion, transformation. By embodying the wisdom of non-doing for now. And learning how to rest in being. Whether you're attending to the breath in the body or whether you're immediately just taking up residency in the full dimensionality of awareness itself. It's the same awareness, whether there's an object of attention or not. So there are an infinite number of doors into this room of mindfulness, of heartfulness, of awareness. And the invitation is simply enter through whatever door is most congenial and convenient. But don't get hung up in the doorway. and the story of the virtues of one door versus another, but to simply enter and settle in. Drop in on your own life unfolding. And simply be the awareness itself. Through every sense door that it expresses itself, including your heart, including what we call the mind, and including this community of all of us who happen to be here. And putting out the welcome mat for whatever is here to apprehend, to sense, to feel, to know. The doors and windows, if you will, of Rumi's guest house flung wide open. it doesn't hurt from time to time to just take a reading. Where is my mind in this very moment? How is it in the heart right in this moment? And how is it in the body right in this moment? And how is it in the world right in this moment? As I'm sitting here, the rain is just pouring down. Creating a thunderous pounding that I find very comforting, kind of a cleansing of the world. How is it for you in this moment? Can that welcome mat truly be stabilized to the point where there's nothing that is a distraction or a problem that is arising, even profound grief or sadness or fear? That if now is not the moment to take action, that we can hold it with huge wisdom and compassion within the embrace of awareness itself, which of course is boundless, so can hold and embrace everything. And gives us, as we've been emphasizing since the beginning, that another degree of freedom or another dimension for relating to the actuality of the present moment. And how that actuality is interfacing with our own lives and families and work, and the agony and sorrow and the hunger and the losses that are being experienced somewhere, everywhere, to one degree or another. How are we to be in wise relationship with all of this? So that the refuge that we find ourselves in at the moment, out of the rain, out of the storm, if we are to some degree out of the outer storm. But what about the inner storms? What about that kind of refuge? And is that not available to us right in this moment without having to force anything to be different or suppress any of our feelings? An inhabiting of what might be called equanimity, just in this timeless present moment, not forever. There's no forever, there's just now. Is that an option? Without any doing, but through seeing, through being, through apprehending, through attending, through loving, hard as it may be, in Byron Katie's phrase, loving what is. Even the most horrific, not in any conventional way, but simply in the embrace of our own hearts breaking open, crying, impulses to contribute, to be of use, to serve. And it's all right here in the intimacy of awareness itself. Nothing special, as the Zen people like to say. And yet insanely special when we drop underneath the narrative, the storyline. And invite our fear and our pain and our suffering and our true concern to be completely valid and yet not imprisoning, but just the opposite, enlivening, breaking open the heart, tilting us towards compassion and the intention to act with integrity, to serve, to donate, to be, to mobilize whatever it is that we can mobilize outwardly, and also in this moment of non-doing inwardly, underneath thinking. Just this. Just this. Hearing what's here to be heard, which in my case is the rain pounding on the roof in this moment. Knowing what's here to be known, including the vastness of not knowing, all right here in this moment. And all contributing in some profound way to a wisdom that understands and is intrinsically catalytic of integrity, of ethical behavior, of seeing self in other, of of recognizing greed, hatred, and delusion, not in everybody else, but also in ourselves. And recognizing that the seeing of it, the knowing of it, the feeling of it, the welcoming of it is not caught in greed, hatred, or delusion. Already free, right here. In the moment of seeing what's here to be seen, hearing what's here to be heard. Just this sitting here, just this being human. So in the closing moments of this sitting, this formal sitting, I'd like to recite a poem by Spanish poet Juan Ramon Jimenez, who lived in the early part of the 20th century and I believe won the Nobel Prize in literature and is extremely beloved in Spain, along with his compatriot Antonio Machado. So it was written a long time ago, long before this pandemic. I have a feeling, the poem is called Oceans. I have a feeling that my boat has struck down there in the depths against a great thing. And nothing happens. Nothing. Silence. Waves. Nothing happens? Or has everything happened? And we are standing now quietly in the new life. I have a feeling that my boat has struck down there in the depths against a great thing. And nothing happens. Nothing. Silence. Waves. Nothing happens? Or has everything happened? And we are standing now quietly in the new life. We simply don't know. Certainly we've run into something. Certainly the boat has struck something down there in the depths. Down there in the depths of our own ignorance, perhaps, or greed or desire to benefit from circumstances that other people are suffering under. What is the hidden, excuse me, what is the hidden potential in this moment? Why are we all on this call even? What is the human heart capable of when embodied, when the great depths of our hearts and minds are available to us and we are available to each other and listening to the call of the world and what is called for now. If we can only get out of our own way, individually, collectively. And so this retreat that we're on is like a fantastic opportunity that no one asked for, nobody wants. And all of us would like to be out there helping maybe in ways that we can't, except by staying out of the way and, as they say, mitigating things and flattening the curve. But this is not the end of anything. And the world is going to need all its flowers, whichever ones are blooming, when this is in the rearview mirror. And I would say that all of us here, by virtue of even having tuned in today, are really being invited and in some sense called to dive deep into Juan Ramon Jimenez's ocean. See what it is that we've struck or that struck us. And let it be an invitation to wake up wake up to what is most called for now, with each one of us contributing whatever it is that we can most contribute for the benefit of the world, for the benefit of each other, for the benefit of those who have the least and suffering the most. And ultimately for the benefit of this planet, going forward for many, many generations into the future. And so for the benefit of our children and our children's children and their children's grandchildren's children and grandchildren. So the stakes are exceedingly high, and that's why we practice mindfulness. Not just for some period of time during the day on a meditation cushion or chair, but for life, in every moment. And letting all of our doing come out of the genius of our being and our being human. So I'll close this with, since I referenced Rumi's guest house, I'll close this with that poem that many of you know, this being human, right off the bat. This being human is a guest house. Every moment, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently, and we're certainly experiencing the violence of it in this moment, violently sweep your house, whatever you understand your house to be, empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. She may be cleaning you out for some new delight. And here comes the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Even those, greet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Every moment is an invitation to wake up. When we, in awareness, fling open the doors and windows of our own guest house, all the energies and the fresh breezes can come in. And he talks about the dark thought, the shame, the malice. This poem is over 900 years old. He was well aware of how much suffering we carry as humans, which is the root meaning of the word to suffer. Means in Latin to carry. We're carrying a lot. But when we understand the true nature of suffering and the true original cause of suffering, then there's the potential for not turning away from anything. And I wouldn't even use the word mitigating, but actually liberating ourselves from suffering. And in doing so, being really, really, really not just useful, but valuable. Whether it's with your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, the people who are hungry, the people on the front lines of this epidemic in the hospitals. This being human is no trivial matter. So just this moment, just this breath, just this being human, just this being together, just this falling awake, just this, just this. So if your eyes have been closed, I invite you to open them, and I invite you to actually recognize that there was no beginning to this meditation, and there's no end to this meditation, and there's no separation between silence and sounds and words, or storms and calmness, that they're all appearances arising in the domain of awareness. And what we're looking for is already in our possession, so to speak. That awareness may be the final common pathway of what makes us human and the hope for our species, if there is any hope for our species. And it's a distributive responsibility, which is basically means it's up to all of us. And I love that at the moment I'm gazing down at my screen and seeing 980 people together in this silence on Zoom, and probably several thousand more on YouTube, just in this moment. We're all cells of that one body of the world, the body politic, if you will, whatever it is, the noosphere in Teilhard de Chardin's terminology. May our individual and collective love teach us how to grow and heal and transform this world and take care of each other. With tremendous appreciation for the beauty in every single person. Even those who are at the moment most troubled or most difficult for us to connect with, and who we wish would only be different. And I wonder how many people wish that about me or you. So at this point, we're going to move into questions. And to let me just reiterate, since probably more of you joined since I said it the last time, is that for one, the team of Soren and John Bashu and myself are going to have decided to keep this going. As long as you're willing to come, we're willing to be here for at least the month of April. So we'll be just moving nowhere, going nowhere, fast, day by day during every weekday. If you know other people that might benefit from this in some way, please invite them. We're going to try to keep the technology under our control to some degree or other. And after this, and Soren will talk about it, break up into smaller groups and see if we can keep this conversation going so that everybody's voice ultimately could be heard. This is not about me. This is about we and a kind of catalyst that we all need to participate in and take responsibility for. And we're figuring out how to play this instrument of Zoom, if you will, or YouTube or the internet, whatever. So yeah, let's.
Thank you, Jon. We're still working with Zoom about why we can't break up 1,000 of us in groups. So what we're going to do at the end, if you're on Zoom in about 20 minutes, I'll put the new URLs in the chat, and we'll also have a slide at the end with the different URLs. We're going to try and send us to 2 different groups, thinking there might just be too many of us to break into groups. So I just added that into the chat, and there'll be a slide at the end. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for your patience as we navigate this new terrain, but we know that the groups are really important, and we're very focused on making those happen. So Jon, the first question we have, Barbara from Geneva. Barbara, let's see. You should be unmuted. I'm just grabbing your video. Hey, Barbara.
Hi there.
Hi, Jon. First of all, I'm very grateful to you and to Soren and to everybody for your presence and incredible wisdom that you're sharing. Thank you. I work in spaces where I deal with a lot of political leaders and business leaders and civic leaders.
Geneva.
And tackling some of the global challenges and trying to find solutions. So they are complex spaces, lots of conversations and partnerships. And what I've learned during our time last week and this week, and including when we broke up into the smaller rooms and also on other Zoom calls, I have observed a very different dynamic. Which is, the humanity and this connectedness, you call it one body or one cell or all one. And I have a question. How can we bring those of us who work in the spaces that are not wired or in tuned with mindfulness or meditation, from your experience, how can we bring this to other meetings? For example, if there is even 1 hour meeting, and if I am leading a meeting or if I am a participant, I have an opportunity to spend maybe at the beginning of the meeting, at the closing of the meeting, to bring people into maybe a different kind of awareness. And my question to you is, if you have any recommendations for those people that are not wired to what we see in our community now, how to do that? I'd be very grateful.
Thank you. This is an absolutely wonderful question, Barbara. I really appreciate it. And of course, Geneva, I understand the culture of Geneva enough to know what you're talking about. And it, of course, is also global. And whether it's the World Economic Forum or, the sort of masters of the universe, wherever they gather and think that they're in total control, including the World Health Organization, for instance, which is anchored in
exactly.
Geneva. And just in general, in the business world or whatever worlds are hermetically sealed into themselves and where the powerful think that they know everything, that it's you can't go at it just like this, because there'd just be a clash and everybody will think that you have some kind of hidden agenda, that you want everybody to become a Buddhist, or you want everybody to become a meditator, or you want everybody to be compassionate all of a sudden, which just is evidence that there's something wrong with you for wanting everybody else to be a different way from the way they are. So you have to approach this from another dimension altogether. And I faced this when I was bringing meditation into the mainstream of medicine, because from that point of view, to bring meditation into medicine and science was the tantamount to the Visigoths are at the gates of the citadel of Western civilization about to tear it down. Everything that we've spent centuries building, rational minds and business and capitalism or whatever it is, and now you're here to destroy it, which is a complete misunderstanding of what wakefulness, liberation, meditation really are about. So you have to use yourself as the instrument in these meetings, and it's your being far more than anything that comes out of your mouth or what you propose to do that will make all the difference. If you see everybody sitting around the boardroom table as a human being who has fears, who carries suffering, who has other people who are hurting or dying or whatever, just like everybody else, and you can somehow or other connect to their humanity, maybe through their parents, maybe through, I don't know what it is, but in some way, help them remember that they're not just the master of the universe or a big shot, but they're just a human being breathing like everybody else. And what they don't know is so much bigger than what they know, that when you come together in a group around a table or in a circle, and you inquire, what is it that we don't know? What is it that we're not looking at? What is that we're not listening to? And there are ways to cultivate these kinds of dialogues in business environments. I point you to the work of Peter Senge and David Bohm and Otto Sharma and all sorts of people like that that are involved in this field that's unfortunately called leadership. And then what does it mean to be a truly transformative leader, or to create an orthogonal institution that is like coming from a whole different planet? It's the same planet, but it's a totally different planet. And therefore, what people know is okay, but what they don't know is more important. And when you have the two together, then you get transformation and healing. There's no script for how to do that. You just do it the best you can, and don't be attached to the outcome, because the more attached you are to getting a desirable outcome, the more you're basically shooting yourself, not just in the foot, but in the heart, because everybody will see how attached you are to having something come out a different way. And the whole practice of mindfulness is about non-attachment. That's the root cause of ignorance and suffering. So there's a lot of paradox associated with this, and you can only live your way into it. It has to be, in Francisco Varela's term, enacted, and that means fully embodied and fully ethical. But everybody who's breathing has humanity associated with them. They may have lost touch with it in a certain kind of environments, but if you can remind them and rebody them in that kind of a way, there's no telling what organizations can do. And we're seeing it operate now in a way that's exemplary in the most unusual domain in the United States, and that is in the military, in the Army Corps of Engineers of all places, where their motto is, the difficult we do today, the impossible takes a little longer. And they have been recruited and empowered to build hospitals and take care of stuff that no one knew how to do in a very rapid form in the United States. And that's just one example. But there are many people in the business world that care about this stuff. But the more you're focused on self, and the more you're focused on me, myself, and my individual bank account or gain or money or fame or fortune or whatever, the further you are from your true self, and therefore it's very difficult to get a group of people to actually wake up and recognize the orthogonality and the pregnant possibilities of the present moment. But I'm sure you're up to the task because you asked the question, and the intelligence in you that was capable of formulating the question already knows the answer. And there are probably 100 answers to your question, and they're all inside you. So have fun playing with
Thank
them.
you. Yeah.
And don't be attached to any outcome.
Yeah, I have no worries with that. Yeah.
No, good.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope that was a useful response.
Yes. Thanks.
Rodrigo, Rochelle, am I pronouncing your name right? I think you are unmuted. Where are you calling from? I think, let's see, you're unmuted on my side, but we can't hear you, Rodrigo.
Check your screen.
You try talking now? Ah, I might have lost him.
Now you're frozen.
Let's see if he,
Okay.
is he back? Rodrigo,
There he is. There he is.
Yeah, can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, good.
where are you calling from?
From Brazil. It's a city close to São Paulo called Campinas.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you, Soren and John, for this opportunity. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here with someone who brought mindfulness to the West world. And my question is going in the direction of transforming this anxiety and this fear into a personal practice. I've been practicing the Tonglen for a while, and it's helping me a lot. I just wanted to hear some words about this kind of practice of just not being mindful, but actually transforming things, you know? How could this help people?
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. And be careful how you formulate questions, because when you say just being mindful, I think in your own mind, you're already equating mindfulness with something that's not transformative, whereas I've found that nothing is as transformative as mindfulness. And the Tonglen practice, for instance, which for those of you who don't know is exchanging self with others, so that you basically take on other people's suffering and offer them whatever it is that you have that has integrity, that's robust, that's healthy, or whatever, which is a very, very profound practice. But that's a kind of instantiation of the greater embrace of the other in self, or the recognizing of the emptiness of your own self. So they're not different practices, they're different doors into the same room. And the doorways always look different. If you have 10 doors into a room, every doorway is a wonderful doorway. But the really important thing is to enter the room. And so when you take on the suffering, I would start with yourself. Don't be so quick to take on the suffering of others. Maybe the anxiety that you're speaking about really has to do with something that's rooted deeply in yourself, and therefore allows you to be compassionate or to resonate with the suffering of another. And so seeing if you can actually put the welcome mat out, open the doors and windows of the guest house, and experience what happens. And that will catalyze learning and growing and healing and the transformation that you're hoping for. But to try to just make transformation happen is not going to be very helpful, because the desire to make it happen is a form of attachment and selfing. And the more you want that, paradoxically, the more difficult it is to actually experience it. So this kind of zen of not getting in our own way. And it's really, the more playful you are and less seriously you take yourself, whether it's exchanging self for other in Tonglen practice, or simply opening to the full dimensionality of your humanity and awareness and mindfulness and heartfulness. your willingness to keep up the practice, not just formally, but the aspect of your life, then life itself becomes your meditation teacher, and it will show you everything you need to find the unique path that's yours in this world to do whatever it is that you're called to do when it comes out of the beauty of your own being. The unique beauty, Rodrigo, of your being. Of course, we could talk about this for hours, but basically, I think I've said enough on that topic for now. I hope it's useful.
Thank you, Jon.
And next, Jon, we have Mariella from Italy. Let's see. I believe you're unmuted, and let me see if I, oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi, thanks a lot for everything.
You're so welcome.
For everything. So I am a senior social worker, and I am at health ministry, and my field is children care. The strange thing, Jon, is that despite the fact that I am working from home, I have never felt myself so focused on my task. And this sounds strange, but it's beautiful because every day I work on here and now, what I have to do today, now for the children, for their sake, for their health. And this is a bit strange for me because it's a contrast being that I am in my room at home and not in the office with the colleagues, with the people, with the meetings. So what you can tell me about this?
I don't have to tell you anything. You already told us all about it, and it's very, very beautiful, and it's surprising. I think what you're excuse me, what you're commenting on is that it's surprising that here you are stuck at home and you feel more invigorated, more alive, more connected with your true mission in your work and your life than ever before. So
Yeah.
that's a learning. That's a kind of lesson that we can carry when the immediacy of this virus is behind us. You can be that way all the time because you already are that way. So it doesn't even require any effort. And I think this is happening globally, that we're beginning to wake up to the fact that it's almost not possible for human beings to be separate from each other. If we can't do it one way, we'll do it another way. And if there was no internet, let's say, you know, the pandemic happened and also something else happened. I would never want to see this happen, but where like the infrastructure broke down, there was no more internet. 40 years ago, there was no internet except for the memory. But now, I mean, we're also dependent on the internet. What the hell would we do then? But you know what? We humans are remarkably ingenious and we would find other ways of connecting. So let's really appreciate the fact that we can be connected in this kind of a way. And again, I think that it's one of the reasons that I every once in a while will invite us to tune into poetry, because the poets can put into words things that are impossible to put into words. Just because you're calling from Italy, and because you're calling from Italy, and I think my colleague Franco the other day invoked Dante Alighieri, that I'll just kind of remind us, nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva scura. We're in the middle of that selva scura right now, che la diritta via era smarrita. Okay? Questa selva selvaggia ed aspera e forte che nel pensiero rinnova la paura, the fear, okay? So, but what you're commenting on is the beauty right in the middle of the dark wood. I love it. And whoever is benefiting, your students or your children or the bureaucrats or whoever is benefiting from the work that you're doing from home, they obviously are very, very fortunate to have you out there at the other end of whatever the connections are. Grazie.
Grazie, grazie a
E
voi.
buonasera.
In Italy is night.